Good morning, it's Friday. It's another episode of Films, Music, Books, and Art. Friday's podcast here at The Ordinary Joe Show. Welcome to the show and looking forward to have this conversation with you about film appreciations, independent musicians, independent music. We don't cover much of pop music or mainstream music here, but we want to give a platform for independent music, independent films, although we do review the mainstream films here as well. We have a book author that we'll be interviewing next Friday, next week. And we did one already for the TV show that we're hoping to get the footage soon so that we can replug it here on our podcast as well. And the art scene in Toronto is a bustling and vibrant scene, but as a full disclosure, we don't have much knowledge and connection in that circle, but we are going to work hard so that we can get connected and we can find some people who can give us information about that area. The artistic is something that Torontonians care about. So it's not about us, it's not about me, your host. It's about what the Ordinary Joe, our listener, our follower wants and needs to hear and what they require of us. Again, we are viewer-centric, we are follower-centric, we are listener-centric here at the Ordinary Joe Show F-Series of podcasts. So it's not about what we can offer, but what our listeners require. And then we go out and look for it. We go and find it for you because it's what you want. It's what you told us you want to hear. So this is a journey together, hand in hand, you and I. We formed this friendship through this podcast as similar to phone pals back in the 80s. Back when in the Philippines, when I was growing up, we used to have pen pals and phone pals. With the advent of the internet and snail mail seem to have gone away, we don't seem to have pen pals anymore. People don't write to each other anymore. Now that it's even more accessible for us to reach each other quicker or easier, we tend to use short version LOLs and LMA, whatever those acronyms are. We don't seem to want to speak full sentence of English anymore and express ourselves and convey our thoughts to friends abroad, to friends nearby, to friends across the city. There's still a few people who write long emails, but people tend to not want to read long emails nowadays. We just want the fast food culture, not only with our food, but also with our communication and with human interaction and with the human experience. Why do we replace things that are normal and natural with things that are artificial? Films are very important in our culture because films convey stories of human experience, and I'm hoping that we humans will not replace our real life human experience with digital simulated human experience. So with all the digital media, I still kind of appreciate the impact of films to our human experience because it kind of helps us, encourage us to go out there and live our human lives in the reality, in the real world. So that's quite a long introduction. Thank you for joining me. Today we are going to do a couple of film reviews. Well, no, actually only one. And let's get this kicked off. Lights, camera, action.
Mommy, I'm coming. Mommy, it hurts. Oh no, baby. When Anna got sick, I just couldn't understand it. Why was this loving little girl going through this?
I think your daughter is lactose intolerant.
Acid reflux.
Everything looks okay.
Everything's fine.
Everything is not fine. There's something wrong with our little girl.
Mrs. B, you need to calm
I'm
down.
not leaving this hospital until I know what's wrong with my daughter.
Unfortunately, the tests confirm that she's very ill. There is currently no cure for Anna's condition.
Doctor, please. This is our little girl. I'm scared, Mom. Me too. We're not giving up.
Like a small boat on the ocean.
We need a solution. We need it now.
Big wave
And we'll get it
How?
into motion.
by not losing our faith.
Like how a single word
How long you been married?
14 years.
open
Free her from this.
might only have one man.
Can you even hear me?
Can make an explosion. This is my fight song. Take back my life.
So you're telling me that when this baby girl fell 30 feet, she hit her head just right, and it didn't kill her, and it didn't paralyze her. It healed her.
Yes.
Well, that's impossible.
This is a little hard to believe. There's a lot of people out there that are just looking for publicity.
A lot of people think we're crazy.
You either roll with it or you get rolled on.
He told me I'd be fine.
I've still got a lot of fire left
Who told you you'd be fine?
in me.
What a wonderful movie, Miracles from Heaven. My family and I watched it last Saturday, and I remember my dad used to describe that when he described my grandma from his side, he used to describe her as someone who has, in Filipino saying, we call shallow tears, or someone who's easily touched, especially with movies, tearjerkers. And my dad used to describe himself as someone who's very similar to his mom, my grandma, that they're both easily touched. They cry in movies a lot. And then I remember that because I think I'm starting to become like my dad and my grandma. But it was a good tear. It was a good emotional adventure. Because first and foremost, this movie is a true story, and I didn't hear about it until the day of the family movie time. We usually, when my wife is off, and usually Saturday is the only day I would try and catch up on my sleep or sit back and relax. I would work from home on Sundays, work on all my projects, my podcasts, and all kinds of stuff. So I would work 6 days a week, Sunday to Friday. But I made a religious vow to keep my Sabbath holy, my Saturday, by, trying to give my body some rest, my spirit, my soul. And part of relaxation, I find, is to get a really good movie, especially if it's a true story that has a moral lesson. Miracles from Heaven, a true story and a true miracle story by a young little girl who got very, very ill, and then she got an accident. She fell into a hollowed out tree 30 feet down on the bottom, head first, and instead of the doctors who treated her from the accident, when she got rescued, they expected that she'll be either paralyzed or break a lot of bones. But she came out from the ordeal without any broken bone, and her ailment with something to do with her stomach, an incurable disease that all of a sudden become totally healed. And the little girl confessed to her parents that she saw Jesus while she was out of it. So sort of like an NDE, or a near-death experience. Now, of course, this is about films, books, art, music. And a lot of listeners will be probably asking us why we're talking about religion, because that's for Saturday, Faith podcast is for Saturday, but I want to clarify something. I won't. I am who I am, and in part of the way I express myself is part of who I am is my faith and what I believe in, and it will come out from time to time, whether I am hosting my faith show or my secular shows. The authentic side of me, who I am, will come out from time to time, and that's who I am. I have faith. I'm a believer of Christ, and I didn't. My wife chose this movie. I didn't choose this movie purposely. I told her to put some family movie on that we can watch together as a family last Saturday, and it happened to be this one. And I already realized that it's a true story, even though I didn't see it because I missed the beginning part where they showed the little subtitle that says based from real events. But during the course of the show, especially after the time of the accident, it reminded me of a documentary I saw, a secular movie, a secular documentary film about NDEs. NDE are documented near-death experience. Because of the advancement of technology, a lot of people are now surviving what would have been fatal accidents back in earlier times. Because we have so much medical technology now that if a person who got into a very dire accident, mostly fatal in historically fatal kind of accidents in the past, nowadays if the ambulance or the rescue worker can make it on time and have the victim brought to the hospital or attended to right away, due to our advanced technology nowadays, we are able to revive a lot of those that have almost or actually did clinically died for a few minutes. So due to our medical technology, we are able to revive clinically dead patients and defibrillate them or revive them if their brain hasn't experienced a brain dead cellular decaying event just yet after the death experience. And a lot of these patients, many of them doesn't have the same kind of faith that I have, or they're not even Christians, many of them, but many doctors have well documented a similarity in the experience that all of these patients have been testifying to, that after they come out from the near-death experience, they tell these stories about tunnels of light and feeling of peace and meeting a person of light and meeting Jesus, even for patients who died and they're not Christian, and somehow they're zapped back to life because their death was untimely and they're not supposed to go yet. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of patients since the advancement of medical technology had been rolled out. Now we have a bunch of hundreds of people that has this experience came forward, and doctors have been documenting their testimonies. And this story, Miracles from Heaven, is one of those NDE documentation from an 11-year-old girl. But when it happened, I think she was younger than 11. But it was rolled out. The accident happened in 2011. The book was printed and the movie was produced in 2015, rolled out in theaters 2016, last year. Sorry, not last year, 2 years ago, which I didn't hear about because I haven't been watching the movies a lot, and I haven't had cable, so I haven't been watching television to see movie trailers for a number of years, at least 5 years or more. Check out Miracles from Heaven by Sony Pictures, directed by Patricia Riggan. Our main cast here is Jennifer Gardner, Kylie Rogers, Martin Henderson. Let's go to the full cast and crew. Brighton Charbino, that's Abby Beam, and Adeline Beam, Courtney Fansler. Queen Latifah is also in the movie. So Jennifer Gardner apparently was going through a family crisis herself in real life while she was shooting the movie. But this is a very compelling movie. It's true story. I recommend it. And as a dad, I give it a 5-star out of 5. And as we move forward, we will look through. We will do reviews for films looking through the glass of filmmakers. But today, we're not gonna quite do that. Not prepared to do that, so I'm gonna give it a 5-star, only looking through the glass of a parent. My daughter, our 6-year-old, was watching with us during the time, and initially she was kind of scared during the accident scene, but then she stuck in it. She stuck with us, and she stuck it out and finished the whole movie, and now she wants to see it again. So I recommend it to be watched by little kids as well. Like any movie, there's some sort of shocking scenes, but then there's a happy ending that redeems the whole accident scenario. Yeah, so IMDb gave it a 7.1 or 1-star rating. As we all know, IMDb is replete with all the traditional mainstream filmmaking industry, the industrialist, the mainstream, the monopolist. Rotten Tomato gave the movie 1 star as well. But sorry, the members of Rotten Tomato gave it a meager 43%, 5 out of 10 average rating. All the critics of the Rotten Tomato gave that rating. However, the audience gave it a 81%. 81% liked it in Rotten Tomatoes. Moving forward to Common Sense Media. Common Sense Media is supposed to be a family-focused rating system. Well, the staff of Common Sense says age 10 plus, 2 stars. Good acting, can't save Ernest, faith-based family drama. The Common Sense Media is supposed to be kid-friendly. It's giving it 2 stars. But the parents, based on 6 reviews, parents gave it 5 stars. Age 7 plus, and the kids, age 9 plus, gave it 4 stars. So as you can see, the audiences and the common people are giving it more stars than the actual supposedly expert. Now, a supposedly expert, Peter Bradshaw of The Guardian, gave it 1 star, and he was so angry because one of the characters in the movie was made up, Wexler. But isn't it in most based on true event stories in Hollywood, the director and the writer always exercise some sort of artistic freedom to help portray the story. So it's not like 100% verbatim as how it, the characters are sometimes. Some characters are inserted to help tell the story. Anyways, The Guardian is very, very upset about that one character that is not true. Peter Bradshaw very upset about the Wexler character and gave the movie 1 star out of 5. And he says it is unbelievably preachy Christian drama. Meanwhile, across the board, many people are saying that it's the least preachy Christian movie that they have seen. And in other film lovers news, Toronto's only drive-in movie theater has closed. This is the one by Cherry Street. I used to love to go there. The only problem is you can only go there, of course. Toronto is not very, very suitable for drive-in theaters. And we only have one, and they closed it down because Torontonians didn't want to support it, I guess. I only been there once. The only reason is because they don't show current movies. They only show reruns. And Hollywood is also making a movie about our late mayor, Toronto Mayor Rob Ford, and it's possibly that they'll be filming here in Toronto. Just about a month ago, there was a superhero movie that was filming in Toronto, and it's part of the DC Comics movie. Toronto's getting a giant new film studio as well on the waterfront. Kurt Russell was here, and he was filming a Santa movie. Bill Murray, his documentary is getting its premiere at TIFF. And by the way, they reduced the price. TIFF is offering cheaper ticket prices for this year's film festival. So it's still about 4 months away. Toronto International Film Festival will still be about 4 months away, but you should, if you want to secure some seats in some of the movies that will be presented at TIFF in September, try and get your tickets now, or because it goes really fast. As you know, not only us Torontonians watch the TIFF festival here in our city, but we have a lot of visitors from other places, especially from the US and other countries, who come here to watch their entry or to participate at the festival. So there's gonna be an influx of visitors this summer. We got so many things going on this summer. There's a Caribana Film Festival and all kind of good stuff. So try and get your tickets as soon as possible. One really exciting highlight about the summer 2018, and this falls both into our food podcast, the Food and Wine podcast, and also here at our Film, Music and Books podcast, is a movie called Before the Plate, which is about the head chef of Canoe, John Horn. Canoe is a restaurant in the heart of Toronto that's going to be featured and most likely be featured at the Toronto. It'll be rolled out at the Toronto Film Festival as well this summer. 1 plate, 10 ingredients, 8 farms. Head chef John Horn of Canoe Restaurant in the heart of Toronto will be going on the journey of modern Canadian agriculture. Along the way, we speak to farmers and industry experts to answer the consumer's question about where our food comes from. You can purchase tickets ahead of time for the premiere screening. Visit the link on eventbrite.com Before the Plate, and we'll post detailed information at ordinaryjoeshow.ca website as well. Blog Tio described the big event in their popular blogging site. A new documentary featuring the head chef of Canoe, Toronto's favorite upscale restaurant, for a 360 view of the city, will be released this year and possibly even screened at the Toronto International Film Festival, focusing on a single dish served at the Financial District restaurant. Before the Plate deconstructs how we eat by breaking down the dish to its 10 ingredients and tracing each of them back to the 8 farms they came from. Starring Canoe's chef John Horn, the film is all about our food, where it comes from, and how it affects Canadian farmers and the consumers who buy from them. If you sometimes question where your food comes from, or just want to know more about Canadian agriculture in general, Before the Plate will be screening in Toronto this August. and all over the US as well, and all over Canada, and possibly, as you know, these are syndicated, these are distributed through big distribution companies of film, so most likely it will spread all over the world, and an opportunity for our very important restaurant here in Toronto to be featured and to be exposed to all the food aficionados worldwide. Previously, I also mentioned that although the Toronto International Film Festival, the TIFF event, is one of the biggest event in the summer here in Toronto. It's almost actually probably fall, September, not quite, wait, just before fall. September is usually still part of summer here in Canada, in Toronto. But other than the Toronto International Film Festival, we have various film festivals that are happening, smaller festivals than the TIFF that are happening all around the city. And one of them is the Hot Docs Documentary Festival that happens here every year. And this year it's happening on April 26 to May 6, 2018. Is a Canadian International Documentary Festival, or also known as Hot Docs. Outspoken, outstanding. That's their motto. Documentaries have the power to change perspectives, strengthen our culture, and challenge the status quo, and so do you. As a registered Canadian charity, Hot Docs relies on your financial support, patronage, sponsorship, and donation to advance the art of documentary filmmaking. Your support helps us to continue to assist independent filmmakers, provide training to hundreds of emerging documentaries, showcase hundreds of docs at the festival and Hot Docs Ted Rogers Cinema, and work with hundreds of sister festivals and community groups across the city. So this is also a world-renowned festival. Everybody comes to Toronto. Everybody gathers in Toronto, those who are involved in documentary filmmaking, and it's usually happening at the Ted Rogers Cinema. But one thing to know about the Hot Docs Festival, and a very exciting, probably unique to Toronto, don't take my word for it, but I haven't heard of anything like this in other parts of Western world. But here in Toronto, as sponsored by the Hot Docs Festival, is also the Hot Docs Podcast Festival. So this is the 3rd edition, and they will be launching this in November, this coming November, in the fall. In 2016, Hot Docs took a bold leap into the most exciting new medium in non-fiction storytelling, launching Canada's first international podcast festival, drawing over 5,000 avid listeners. Wow. Well, someday maybe the Ordinary Joe Show can be an entry to the podcast festival, but I have to look into it. Of 5,000 avid listeners to our cinema each year, the podcast festival has hosted sold-out live events with critically acclaimed chart-topping shows like Criminal, Another Round, Reply All, Missing Richard Simmons, Modern Love, and Ear Hustle. So apparently these are like big names in podcasting, I guess. Well, I'm very new to podcasting, so we will still feel it out and make a decision moving forward if that is something we want to aspire for. Join us for the fall as we bring you the latest audio obsession to life on stage, featured podcasts, and scheduled to be announced. Members save on passes and tickets, and you can also become a member by visiting Hot Docs Podcast Festival website. And by the way, Hot Docs is a part of the Toronto International Film Festival conglomerate, if maybe you can say that. So yeah, check it out. That's pretty exciting, I think, because I'm a podcaster. Well, becoming one. This is my coming of age when it comes to podcasting, and pretty exciting. Now next off to the next topic. Thank you for joining us today on our Friday Films, Music, Book, and Art podcast. And next week, we are going to interview a book author. And not only a book author, but a children's book author who actually signed a book for our little girl here at home. Boy vs. Fly. I'll be sitting down with Daniel Beachman, the author of Boy vs. Fly, a children's book that's now distributed across all carriers online, Amazon, iBooks, etc., and physical brick and mortar bookstores as well here in Toronto. Daniel Beachman lives in Toronto, Canada. He has a bachelor's degree in history from the University of Western Ontario in London, Ontario, and studied art and design at George Brown College in Toronto. He is married and a stepfather, grandfather, brother, and uncle. Boy vs. Fly, a Dean Bean adventure, is the first published work of Daniel. It was inspired by some of his own experience and love of finding humor in everyday life. As for Dean Bean, he is ready for another adventure. Visit www.danielbeachman.com. That's Daniel BEITCHMAN.com to get to know more about Boy vs. Fly, a Dean Bean adventure, written and illustrated by Daniel Beachman, available in your local bookstores and soon being reviewed for circulation in the Toronto Public Library as well. Hopefully, we're praying for that. Daniel was a very pleasurable guy to talk to, and you will enjoy his stories, all his insights, all his stories about his experience in writing the book and how it was the curveball that what happened to a play, as supposed to be play, screen-written script that became a children's book. If you have kids, if 10 and under, I would say, any age actually, check out Boy vs. Fly in your local bookstore. And don't miss our interview with Daniel Beachman next week, Friday, only here at Films, Books, Music and Art, an F-Series, one of our podcasts, F-Series here. It's just another Ordinary Joe Show, F-Series of podcasts, Fridays. See you again next week. Thank you for hanging out with us, and please don't miss next week's episode. God bless you all. Take care.